And we are live. Okay. We are live. Right. Okay. Well, for now, I'm just going to wait a bit um, until we get some people in here, hopefully. Okay. Focus, Kevin. So if you're a patron who has pledged $10 or more, you get to see this live stream live, and you'll be able to interact with me. And not only that, you'll, apart from the live stream, you'll be able to see my lives, my feed on Patreon to see what I'm up to and whatnot. But it's all right for those of you who are watching this who are not. Well, I mean, how can I say this? For those of you who are not patrons, you'll be able to. You're going to see this obviously because this is going to be recorded. So, so there we are. Okay. So, okay, let's see. Okay, we have one viewer so far. I think I have to. There is a chat, and I have to. From my experience with History with Hilbert. For those of you who don't know History with Hilbert, he's like one of the fantastic. Oh, hello. Oh. Oh, okay. Hello, Sarah. Okay, great. Okay, we have one person here, one of my patrons, and hopefully others will join. But that's okay. I mean, I did say that this event would be at what's it called? 7 o'clock German time, UK 6 o'clock, and 1 o'clock p.m. in Eastern Standard Time, where I am right now. Okay. I'm lost for words. I'm a little nervous, to be honest, but well, first time for everything, right? Well, almost anything. Okay, so today's live stream event. Well, yeah, I guess we'll get started. Because I did say 1 p.m. Anyway, enough about that. Let's carry on. So we're going to talk about the Saxons. This is going to be all about the Saxons, and like I said in the video about it, it's more or less going to be the Saxons in Germany, the ones that didn't go to England, that stayed in Germany, northern Germany, I should say, or should I say Saxony? Anyway, who are the Saxons? Well, the Saxons, briefly, they are a West Germanic tribe from northern Germany, and actually further, they're a confederation of little tribes altogether. I think going far back to the Roman times, Tacitus said something like that part of the Chatti tribe or the Chatti tribe were kind of like, if you will, the Proto-Saxons, if you will. I mean, my history is very scant on this part of history, but as you guys know, I'm more of a linguist, if anything. Okay, all right, just gotta pay attention to the chat. And sorry, I'm new to this. This is my second time doing a live stream. Okay, so, and the Saxons are really significant as far as Dark Age history goes, because like, especially what happened on the continent, you had something called the Saxon Wars, where our buddy Charlemagne, when you learn about Charlemagne, he's a Frankish king, and he was part of who are the Franks? They are a tribe. They're what we make the name of France, but anyway, I won't get into too much into that right now. But yeah, so we have this king, Charlemagne, or Charlemagne, if you want to. Anyway, with Charlemagne, what he did was, well, when you learn about him in university, they'll all tell you. If I had this told to me too, that he's a great guy because he started universities in Europe. Woohoo! Yeah, but not many know that he kind of butchered and pretty much killed a lot of Saxons because they didn't convert to his religion. Pardon me. Siri is, she thing is, if I speak too loudly, Siri will pick it up. And it's funny because like I'll be recording a video, like I'll be speaking Old English, and like, because thing is, my Siri's in German, so like she thinks I'm speaking German when I'm speaking Old English. Anyway, enough about that. Yeah, so Charlemagne, he really went out his way to bring Christianity with the sword, and they're very notable parts of history. And this is all part of if you want to learn more about this specifically, you have to look up the like the Saxon Wars. You can start off on Wikipedia and then work your way into more academic stuff. But the reason I'm talking about this because it's very pertinent to what I'll be reading about later, because some of the fairy tales that I'm going to read, they do mention Charlemagne, but they call him Charles. So it's really important to know kind of the background before jumping into it. And the thing is, with this period, when the Christians went to these pagan lands like in northern Germany and whatnot, they looked around and thought, how can we destroy these people? How can we convert them? How can we make them like us? And they did this through very sneaky ways and not so sneaky ways like what Charlemagne did. But another way what they did was they would and they did this in England too, where they would take texts, or they would write texts and but use the Germanic style or alliteration, poetry, their kind of rhetoric, in order to use it in a way to turn it on them. I give you a small example of that with Old English and Old Saxon. That the word for they would say in a lot of religious texts of they say Lord is in Old English is Drichten, but if you go further back, Drichten means military ruler, because we have to remind ourselves these are like warlike tribes. They fought amongst each other and they fought with other people and whatnot. So like a military, and they have a chieftain, the Drichten. But in Old Saxon, it's Druchtin. Yeah, and I think there's a word in German today that's like Truchtin, or it's something like that, word, which means like police something and something like that. Yeah. Okay. I'm just okay. I know I've said a lot, but I'm just going to pause myself because this is a lot to take in. Any questions or any statements? Anyone? Sarah? Actually, yeah, something like that. Yeah, I have to. Yeah, hang on. Let me check out Wiktionary.org. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, because that's what like about. Oh wait. Yeah, Old Swedish, German, something like that. I think so. Hang on, let me look up Drichten and Drichten. Let's go up. What is the Germanic, Proto-Germanic, and it evolved into Drichten in what's it called? Old High German, Drichten. Oh, okay. Can't find it. Should be here. Anyway, but there is a word, something to do with police or something that that has a similar word. So yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I'll find it next time, or when I do, I'll put it in, like, down below when I get around to doing that. But anyway, so yeah, they did that. They used the Germanic alliteration. And I'm just going to go into reading an Old Saxon text and give you kind of an idea what it was like. So I'm just going to read a text called Fadar Uza, which is literally Our Father. It's I guess it's Lord's Prayer, but it's done in a in the kind of the Germanic way. Like I said, like the style of how they would do it. And like after I read this, then I'll go into another point how they really attempted to convert the Saxons. Anyway, so here we go. Go read some Old Saxon, and Old Saxon is a bit different than Old English. All right, so you're gonna hear the difference. Here we go. Fadar Uza, Firicho Barno, du bist an them hohen Himmelrikia. Jehuichi Zivin Namo ya Wordom Johiliku, Kuma Thin Kraftach Riki. Werda Thin William, Ovar dessa Wordala, Så sama an erdo, så thar upa ist, an them hochen himmelrikia. Grevels dag je raad, droogtine the godo, thina hellacha, helpa, ende alatus, heavenes ward, manach horum, men skuldio, also we over manum doan. Ne latus farledian, leder wichtig, so for an ero willion. So we wirdia was sinned. Ak helpus with our alun uvelon dadion. And that's it. That's Fadar Uza. Yeah, that's similar to Old English. Fadar Ura. Well, for sake of comparison, I'm actually gonna. You know, I feel nice. I'm gonna read the Old English text. Where is it now? Okay. Yeah. So the difference between Old English and Old Saxon is that Old Saxon is much more guttural. It's a r sound. You have that more of that in the initial G. Like for example, if you want to say the word good in Old English is god, but in the what's it called? The Old Saxon is a hod. So yeah. Oh. Okay, so let's go to Vader uur. Nee. No, what's going on? Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh, okay. And so I'm just going to get to Vader uur. It's just not listening to me. Nee. Okay, so Vader uur. Okay. I type in Lord's Prayer. Don't worry, I'll get it. I mean, I did a video of it, right? So, the thing is with the Lord's Prayer in Old English, is that okay, I shouldn't have played that. The thing is, the difference is that this seems to be more based off of the Pater Noster, which is the Latin version of this. I think this is based off of that, because the thing is, there was a time in England that Latin and Old English were separate, because originally Old English is like it was originally seen as like a pagan language, and it was only until much later that the church decided, well, in order to convert these people, we'll kind of have to use their language, you know, because not everyone, because only the priests and monks who really studied Latin, you know, it wouldn't be some peasant living out in Northumbria or something, actually, or Mercia, I don't know, you pick a kingdom anyway. So to give you some comparison, I'm going to read the Lord's Prayer in Old English. Vader ura, duda artan helverum, sidin nama yachalchod, to become a teen richa, je worden dat teen villa, onerdan swa en helverum, uren na je dagwan lichan helaf sulu oosto die. En voor je vos ura yiltas, swa we voor je vaturum yiltandum. En je leed toe oos aan kusnunga, ak loose oos of ura, so licha. So there we go, and that is Vader Ura. That's the Lord's Prayer in Old English. Right. Oh, okay. We have Sarah says Chwed, and this is, hang on, Sarah. So this is in your dialect, correct? This is in, for those of you who don't know, this is the Westphalian dialect of Plattdeutsch, or should I say modern Saxon. Yes, yeah. For those of you who don't know, Plattdeutsch is a modern term that we use to describe the descendant of the language Old Saxon, because the Old Saxon evolved into Middle Low German and then into what we know now. With a little history on I don't like calling it Low German, to be honest. I really call it Saxon because, you know, Old Saxon. Anyway, what happened was, throughout time, there was a time that Middle Low German was the lingua franca. It was the language of the Hanseatic Sea trade thing. But since Luther had his Bible in Old High German and a few other things, that the language of instruction was High German. So So over time, Plattdeutsch had been kind of less of an influence and kind of dwindled a bit, and is kind of seen as wrong to some people. Even today, I remember I was talking to someone online. Like she had a friend over, and she was talking with her grandmother. They were both talking in Plattdeutsch, and her friend seeing this, and she thought, "Are you guys even from Germany?" You know, like it shows how disconnected some people are within Germany. Another example, I was on a German chat room, to practice my German. And I told people that yeah, I have a great interest in Plattdeutsch, and the response was like, why would you want to learn that? Like, I don't know, because I guess they don't see the value in it. I mean, or like, see, that's the thing. We live in an age where like there's only one way to speak, and that kills dialects. What worries me, especially about the Westphalian dialect, you go on the English article of Wikipedia and read about it. It's mostly I don't know, but then again, how true is Wikipedia? But then again, well, what it says is that it's mostly old people that actually speak the language, and it's been said that in the future that it's only going to be an accent, and so it's good to keep speaking your dialect if you want to keep it, because the words and pronunciations have a long history, and I'm surprised that the word for good in Sarah's dialect here is still has that the initial sound, she put as a ch, so it gets a sound. So hued, I think, or huet, I don't know. So yeah, okay, great. Some still learn it. Okay, that's fantastic. And for those of you who don't know, I do have a third channel. Yes, everyone knows about my Learning Old Germanic Languages channel. That's my second channel, and obviously leorneealdenglisc. That's my first one. But then I have a third one called Learning Lesser Known Germanic Tongues. There, I plan to teach minority Germanic languages, and Sarah's dialect is on the agenda. I want to do my bit, and I want to also do Saterland Frisian. That's another dying language. That's all the way in far out in West Germany. That's like, it's like one of those living, last living East Frisian languages. Frisian language, because thing is, when we talk about Frisian, we're really talking about West Frisian, because that's the most popular one. But there are other ones that still around and whatnot. But going back to Plattdeutsch, the cool thing about Plattdeutsch, modern Saxon. What I really like about modern Saxon is that like to say he was, it's like hey was, like whoa, that's and guess what's the word for what in Plattdeutsch? It's wat. Like it's like similar to English, man. I mean, it's like that link is still there. I mean, that the heritage, it's I mean, oh geez, standardization, what a devil. Anyway, okay. So enough about that. I think it is time for some storytelling. Oh yes, the very reason I've started this Germanic live stream channel. So so I can read these old stories and kind of, because thing is, as Hilbert said in the live in that live stream, is that the .org, I found stories that may have been passed down to generation to generation and been translated into English, that do talk about these old things. Because thing is, I forgot who it was it was one of Charlemagne's buddies, where like I think Louis Louis something, and he basically what he did was he had a whole collection of these heathen stories and whatnot, and he destroyed them all apparently. But like it goes to show that not all of them have been destroyed. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's just that there is stuff out there, and we got to think too. If I can find this on the internet, I mean, think what isn't on the internet, but that's out there. All right, that's something to think about. Okay, it's very important. Very, very. I cannot stress that enough. If you have really old books from like 100 years ago, digitize them, or and preserve them very carefully because the thing is, you may have a really old book that you look at. I don't really care, but to someone else, that's a real treasure. That's something to bear in mind. Okay, I've rambled too much and must get on with the storytelling. Okay. So the first one I'm gonna read. Okay, it is so cool. Well, that's great. That's fantastic. Okay. The first story is called The Devil's Mill, and we got before I begin, I need to give some bit more background. Thing is, a lot of these fairy tales, what they call as the devil is something actually pagan. Like in order to find out more about the pagan past, that's how fairy tales and how Christian texts describe what is evil in their view. Because you got to bear in mind, when these early Christians, when they came to the Germanic areas, they looked around and thought, look at them, these barbarians. They have long beards and they eat horse meat, and and they have these idols, with faces and stuff like that. Blasphemy. It's kind of and they thought, how can we? So they were probably horrified. I don't know. Well, then again, you have the story of I think it's Pope Gregor. He was in a slave market in Rome, and he saw like two Anglian boys or whatever, and he looked at them and said, what he said something. Well, he said in Latin, but I'll just say it in English. But he said, "Not angels." Sorry, yeah, no. He said, "Not angles, but angels," because apparently he found them, and I don't know if those two boys, but he found two people from and I guess he found them so good looking, so he thought, wherever they're from, they must be Christian. So he went there, and boy, did he get a surprise. And I think he sent Augustine to go in there and the whole conversion and whatnot, and all the way up in Lindisfarne. And I mean, if my history is a little off, let me know. For those of you who know more than I do in this area. But then again, because speaking of the linguistic factor, because Old Saxon and Old English are very similar, what happened was you had something called the Anglo-Saxon mission, where you had these Anglo-Saxons, they would go to northern Germany and they would convert, through preaching and all that stuff, and it could be done because the languages are that similar, like someone from Old Saxony and England at this time, they would understand each other. A few misunderstandings here and there, but they'll understand each other. I mean, I guess on the Anglo-Saxon side, they'll find it kind of weird hearing things like "dach" for day and that sounds kind of rough. But anyway, that's maybe to Anglo-Saxon ears, but that's just my speculation. And I'm rambling too much. Storytelling, Kevin. Let's do this. Okay. Right. Ich have Harry Potter. Oh wow. Okay. That is so cool. Okay. So you have Harry Potter in Saxons. And the thing is too, for those of you who are watching this recorded, speak to me in your Germanic dialect, because I can understand it. All right. Because I study Old English, Old Saxon, all these old Germanic languages and whatnot. So chances are I'm gonna understand you. So feel free to communicate me in your dialect. And yeah, that's one thing I really like about what I do. My opportunity to understanding more people is much wider, because I have this great linguistic base to work from. Okay. Some of you are like, come on, Kevin. Okay. The Devil's Mill. Okay, here we go. The summit of the Glanberg, a mountain of the Harz, which rises about 2,000 feet above the level of the sea, offers the traveler an unexpected splendid prospect. The, the whole rounded summit is covered with large blocks of granite, partly heaped upon each other, partly strewed around. On its highest point, a group of these masses is particularly conspicuous. Here are numerous layers of such granite blocks of considerable circuit, piled on one another, partly rounded and smooth, as if by the hand of man. These form a kind of pyramid, standing quite isolated, and rising about 30 feet above the flat summit of the mountain. Round about lie dispersed thousands of greater and smaller blocks of granite. About the middle of the last century, a tower was built on the summit of the mountain, the view from which it is perhaps unique in North Germany, as it commands both sides of the Harz. These masses of rock are known in the neighborhood under the name of the Devil's Mill, concerning which people relate to the following tradition. Glanberg derives its name from the god Ram, whom the old Saxons worshipped here. On the point of the rock, which is now called the Devil's Mill, once stood a statue of the god. And the inhabitants of the most beautiful and populous part of Old Saxony might see the fires and which the priests here kindled for their sacrifices. The ascending columns of smoke announced to the inhabitants of the Harz, far and near, where new victims were required. Then the worshippers of Ram flocked from every part of the Harzengau and rejoiced at seeing the bright towering flame. When Charles and Winfrid, and by Charles we mean good old Charlemagne, when Charles and Winfrid abolished German heathenism, the Ram's fire was also gradually quenched. But instead of the god, the devil, for a time, played a part on the inhospitable mountain. A miller had built himself a mill in the declivity of the Ramberg, but which at times lacked wind. The wish, therefore, so on rose with so. Wait. Therefore, soon so on rose within him of having a mill standing quite free on the highest point of the mountain, which that would then always be in motion, let the wind blow from the east or the west, the north or the south. But it appeared to him a difficult task for men to build a large mill on such a height, and more difficult to secure it against the storms, which scattered all ordinary structures like stubble. This ever-reoccurring wish, and the apparent impossibility of satisfying it, deprived him of all rest, both day and night. But all of a sudden, the devil made his appearance, and offered his services. After bargaining and haggling for a long while, the miller at last signed a contract to become the property of the evil one, at the expiration of 30 years. And the devil on his part promised to build him a faultless mill with 6 sets of stones on top of the Ramberg, and that it should be completed in the following night before cock crowing. The infernal architect heaped the rocks upon the rocks one upon another, and built a mill, and the like of which had never been seen. Soon after midnight, he went to the miller's house on the declivity of the mountain to fetch him for the purpose of trying the new mill and taking possession of it. With a beating heart, the miller followed the fiend and found everything beyond his expectations. Gladly would he have given half of his life away could he but have found a single fault. But everything appeared perfect. Trembling, he was now going to receive the mill under the terrible conditions, when he discovered that there was a stone wanting, which to a miller was indispensable. The builder long denied the asserted fault, but was at length obliged to confess it. Immediately, he set about supplying the deficiency, but just as he came flying through the air with a stone, lo! The cock of the mill below crowed. Frantic with rage at the failure of his plan, the fiend gasped at the building and tore down the sails and the wheels and stones and flung them all in all directions. He then hurled about the rocks which he had heaped up to the clouds, so that they were covered. They covered the whole of the Ramberg, and only a small portion of the foundation remained as an everlasting memorial of the Devil's Mill. Thank you. That is our first story. I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah. So it's kind of little history of some of these places, and like for example, like Lamberg is a real place. Harz is a real place. And when we say Charles, we mean Charlemagne, and yeah. So, and I thought I'd read this one because it's has some old remnants, especially when talking about Ramberg itself, coming from a god. Juhu, dat was in vielen wo. Okay, I can understand. Okay, well, okay, I'm gonna be honest. I don't understand everything, but I can understand like kind of the gist of what I'll take that as a positive thing. So yeah. Okay. So before we get into the next story, just gonna have a little intermission. Because oh, that was a nice story. Okay, thank you. Thank you, danke. The cool thing about Saxon is that the way they say you in like, how can I say this? Like in the dative or dative is you use d, instead of in like High German dia. Yeah, it's d. It's the same as old Saxon is, there's a c, because what happened was Old Saxon got a bit of the High German consonant shift, where that th sound became a d sound. So that's why you have do and not thu, d and not the. So. But in England, the interesting thing, they never had that change. So so thu became thou in Middle English, thou in or Modern English, and yeah, well, thou and now, and in the dialect where my family's from, Yorkshire, they still use that word. They say the and thee, so yeah, it's so words are still around, but a lot of people, when they think of thou, they think of like Shakespeare and all that stuff. I don't know, because most people don't really know about dialects and stuff like that. So okay, before we get into the next story, which is going to be much more interesting, to be honest, I will be right back, because this does a toll in my throat, and I don't want to have a sore throat, so I'll be right back. All right. So how can we? I don't want to stop the broadcast. No, it's not a good idea. Okay, and we have 2 viewers. Oh, okay, splendid. Okay, splendid. Okay, so I'm gonna be right back. I don't. Okay, so I can turn off my camera. Okay, so hold your horses, everyone. I'll be right back, and yeah, because I'm gonna go for a drink of water. Okay, all right, be right back. And we are back. Yes, we are back now. Okay, so where is the chat room? Okay. Okay, so wait. Wait, hello? Wait. Can you guys see me? Wait. Okay. All right. It's working. All right. I was like, why am I not seeing myself in this other window? Okay. Okay, there's something I forgot to say in the beginning of this not podcast, Germanic, this live stream event. That's the Saxons. How did they get their name? Well, apparently, they got their name from the shape of their swords. And because the word for this kind of knife is called a sax, like SEAX. That's Old English for the sax, and that's it can't mean like a short sword. It could mean like a knife. It also could mean like an instrument. Let's say you're working with wood or something, or like you're doing, I don't know, surgery. Your knife like object, that would be called a sax. So it's not completely a military weapon. No, it's sometimes it's just for craftsmanship or something like that. Okay. All right, I'm able to be heard. Okay, anyway. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind, how the Saxons got their name. And like as far as that word itself, it's interesting because in England, in the Gaelic languages, their word for English is like variants of pardon me, my phone went off. Sassionen. No, not Sassionen. That sounds very Latin-like. So yeah, so it's like the word Saxon, but a variant of it, which is pretty. Oh, ik heb ook een lutknief. I have also a little knife. Yeah, just like in Old English, the word for knife, or the origin of the word knife, is knief. Yeah. So yeah, they're it's similar. So it's like we're almost speaking the same language. Well, yeah, because thing is, Old Saxon and Old English, they both come from, they're both West Germanic languages, and they go further. They're both part of the same like group within that called the Ingvionic languages, and so yeah, that's why there's some similarities and whatnot. And I think it will have to do with the contact between. Oh yeah, because Saxons they went to England too. Yeah, because when the Saxons went to England, they made their little kingdoms like Wessex, West Saxa, Sussex, South Saxa, Essex, Est Saxa. Then you have so Wessex, Essex, Sussex. There's no Northics. No, that's because if you go up north, you get into Mercia, or Mercia, or something like that. Okay, so are we ready for the? Okay, so it's just 2 viewers so far, but okay. So are we ready for the next story, the next fairy tale that I shall read? Okay. Well, I'm certainly ready to read it. I think there's a bit of a delay, like when I speak. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Hang on, let me turn some of these things off. Okay. First page. Right. Okay. Oh, sorry. Little thing. As far as Old English goes, and this is something everyone should know, a lot of books and whatnot, they put the accent or the macron on the second vowel, but it should be on the first one. I don't know why they did. I think they did this for like alliteration or like recitation reasons, because in the early studies of Old English or these old languages, it was meant to be just read out. It was never meant to be like spoken or anything. So that's one thing to bear in mind. But yes, we are ready. I am ready in Old English. Okay, last one's again. Okay, so the second story called Lora, the goddess of love. There we go. Let me zoom into the text. The mountain fortress of Lora is so called from a goddess of that name. Before Charles, the conqueror of Saxony, and his missionary Winfrid had baptized the subjugated inhabitants of the Harz, Lora was held in great veneration by the Saxons of those parts. To her was consecrated a large awe-inspiring forest, the remains of which, even at the present day, almost involuntarily, and as if it were by enchantment, transport our thoughts back to ages long passed away. The only memorial of it, at the present day, is a wood of small extent, the abode of numberless flocks of birds, called the Ruchensburg, between the Reinhardsburg and the Bleicherode, and the fortress of Lora, together with some detached woods among the well-built villages watered by the Wipper, now enliven the delightful landscape to which the distant Brocken serves as a background. From this forest the youths in time of old offered to the goddess Lora, in the autumn the first fruits of the chase, and in the spring the young maidens, singing joyful songs, brought wreaths of flowers to the goddess. With the finest wreath the high priest of Lora solemnly adorned the head of that maiden who had most distinguished herself by feminine virtues, by constancy and love, and by unshaken fidelity to her beloved. In the middle of the mountain on which Lora was principally worshipped, there gushed forth a spring to which a pilgrimage, Middle English pronunciation, a pilgrimage, or modern English pronunciation, pilgrimage, was made by unhappy lovers, especially young maidens whom death had bereft of their beloved, in the hope that by drinking those waters they might obtain peace and forgetfulness. On the summit of this mountain, a noble Saxon lady, whose lover had fallen in battle with the Franks, from which the wood derives its present name. She called the spot Ruchensburg because in the wood the goddess sent her a new lover, worthy of her, whose love comforted the mourner and gave back her heart its long-lost peace. But terrible was the sacred forest, the faithless lover. There, Hermtrud expiated her crime with her life. She was betrothed to Ealdgern, a noble Saxon youth. The defense of his country tore him from her. At parting, she swore to him with hypocritical tears eternal fidelity. But in a few days after, Lora saw the violator of faith and duty in the arms of Hermann. The culprits had concealed themselves in the Buchen, a wood not far from the Ruchensburg. Here, Lora startled them by a deer that came rushing through the thicket, and Hermtrud fled and entered without reflection Lora's sacred grove. The mountain trembled, and the earth darted forth flames, which consumed the false-hearted fair one. The priests had hastened to the spot, collected Hermtrud's ashes, and buried them in a little valley at the foot of the mountain. Here may still be heard at twilight the mournful wail of the false one, a warning to all faithless lovers not to enter the sacred grove. Winfrid, the terror of the Saxon gods, together with his companions, destroyed the Ruchensburg, for Lora's might had then fled. The following act of revenge exhausted her last remaining powers. Not far from the Reinhardsberg, she overtook Winfried, exulting his spiritual victories. His carriage and horses suddenly stuck fast in a mire, and he would have been instantly swallowed up had not his prayers to the Holy Virgin saved him. In memory of this danger, he erected 3 crosses, which are yet to be seen on the spot where the abyss opened its jaws to receive him, and in his misery dedicated, in Lora's wood, a chapel to the Virgin. From this event, the place is still called Elend, and then after that it has um like brackets misery. Anyway, so that is our second story. Yes, I love this because it really reveals a lot to about pagan culture. Uh, because you did have sacred groves. That would be your quote unquote temple, if you will. Yeah, they did have temples, but they would also have groves. Um, that that'll be very sacred. And what's really interesting is that, hang on, let me check the live stream. Yeah, and what is really interesting is that uh, that Lora solemnly adorned the head of that maiden who most distinguished herself by the feminine. Yeah, because thing is, how this would work in this ancient time is that the most beautiful and the most honorable, like the best, you will, would be chosen to be like the representative or the impersonation of that goddess. All right. So like, so they would. I don't want to say pretend, but like that would be the goddess in person, if you will. Because everything was sort of like a play, like a script, if you will. Like try to think of it like those old ancient Greek plays in a way. That's one way to look at it. Um, and a lot of this, it reminds me of like that whole Hertha or Nerthus, a tradition where you would have a goddess. She would be pulled around on a chariot, going from town to town, and or it would be another tradition I read regarding Nerthus. Is that you would have like the prettiest virgin of the town, and what would happen. Well, this okay. What I'm going to say is based on what I read. All right, so I'm not, and like she would there'll be like a huge parade, and she'd be at the front of it, and I don't know why, but well, I mean, maybe well, anyway, the thing said that she was naked, being in this, and the idea was that they will go around to fields and blessing the crops or whatever. Um, so yeah, I mean, well, I guess representation of fertility. Because thing is, what I think, and this is just my speculation from what I've been reading about this sort of stuff. I think Lora could be a manifestation of the precursor Nerthus. I shouldn't say Nerthus because thing is, not many people know this, but the manuscript, the original manuscript, said Hertha or Herthum, and the N that we have that we know now, like it was part of the word before, so it'll be Erthus, really. And this makes sense because in later Anglo-Saxon like charms, there's one that like says Erecha Erecha Erecha, meaning Mother Earth. So I think it's safe to say that Ertha or Earth is a goddess in her own right, and she's the proto wife of Woden. The where we get Wednesday from, and I think there is a dialect in Germany, North Germany, that has Wodan's Tag or Wodan's dog or something like that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I saw it on one site and like thought, this could be true. Um, but that's a really really archaic thing to find. I mean, so yeah, I think because thing is. So, but then some of you wondering, what about Free and what about Freya? Those are later developments. Yeah, that's one thing you have to bear in mind about this stuff. Like languages, belief systems, they evolve over time. They change over time, and the names change, and but the qualities stay the same. You know, like you read all the things about Fria, and you read about all Nerthus, so like they all come from the same thing. So, well, they both have the same attributes and whatnot. So that's something to bear in mind, and it's important that I mentioned Nerthus because the Angles were among the tribes that worshipped her, and they would all worship her on this island at the coming of spring. All these tribes would get together. They would go. I think a lot of people speculate this island is Rügen. Rügen. Oh, wie heeft Woensdag? Yeah, a little tangent. Yeah, because sometimes Wodan, I think in Lombardic, where it's not Wodan, it's Godan, where that sometimes a W could be a G. I don't know. Are we? How do you pronounce it? Is that a Gunsdag dag, or is that or Gunsdag dag, or is it like something else altogether? Yeah, but anyway, my point about Nerthus, I want to bring out what I think is okay. So you have the initial sound. That I do think that Anglo-Saxons did have like a Nerthus kind of character. Because we have this saint called Bertha in as one of the saints, and apparently she's from I think the line of the Franks, and I don't know, like her what's it called, her patron saint day or whatever is on May 1st, I believe, and I think that was purposely put there as to replace the pagan culture. And Bertha is a cognate to Bercha in continental Germany. So it's all interrelated. Like you have to really do your research to see the connections and whatnot, and you have to be very open minded to what you find. And for some of you wondering, where can I learn about this stuff, Kevin? Well, you can go to again archive.org, Google Books, and you got to be very creative with your and sometimes thing is in English. All right, that's something you got to bear in mind. You're lucky to find anything in English, but most of the stuff I found had been in English, so that's I guess we're lucky in that regard. Well, yeah, that's it though. If I can find all this in English, what else could I find in other languages? See, that's another motivation to learn other Germanic languages. It opens more doors. I remember going on the German German language article for North Frisian, and if you scroll down, you find all these like books to like the sagas of North Frisian. I'm like, what stories could these have? Like there could be like vestiges of more paganism, but we just don't know about it yet because it's not out in the pardon me, it's not out in the public. That's, I cannot stress that enough. I mean, Hilbert was right. The past is much closer than you think. Okay, so now the final finale. Okay, all right. So I guess we are ready for the final story, and this is my favorite one. This is out of the three, I like this one the best, because it's much more interesting, and it's really really cool. Okay, and this one's called it's actually from East Netherlands, from a place called Veluwe. And this one is called The Creation of Uddeler and Pale Lake. So it's kind of similar to the first one, where it's kind of the origin of a place. But the interesting thing about this story, it does mention Thunar, or should I say Thor, or in Old English Thunor, and the Winter Giants, and yes, the giants. as we know about in the Norse sagas. So, okay. Okay, let's okay. Gotta close this window. Close this. So we have no distractions of any sort. And okay, I'm getting a little excited for this because thing is, when I read, you probably get this by now. When I read stories, I'm very creative with my pronunciation and whatnot. I mean, if it's something in German, I'm gonna read it as a word German, and for like when depending on the period of where the story takes place, I mean, I'll take some pronunciations of that period. So if I'm reading like a story about like in, I don't know, ancient Scandinavia, I'm gonna read it like in Old Norse. Anyway, I'm talking too much, and let us carry on with this story. Okay, here we go. Thunar. Okay, the creation of Uddeler and Pale Lake. And this is translated. Okay, this is really important. This is translated by the noble Eva Vechelar, and I'll put the link of this text, and it has a link to her page and whatnot. You can check that all out. And if you like, you can tell her that I sent you there and say, yeah, Kevin read your story. Kevin read your translation. It was Anyway, so let's begin. Okay. There was a time when giants stormed the sky, and a large snake resided at Uddeler. The coolest giants, subjects of the powerful winter giant, had begun their battle against the gods of summer. With sand from the Volskammer, they built up the Volbergen. But Thunar, the great god of thunder, as yet restrained them. Already, the mists. Oh, whoops. Oh, already, the mists of autumn drew across the forests, pale flags of the approaching winter army, and large wolf clouds struggled with the god of the sun. Wildly, the thunderer growled in his red beard, and so that the giants were filled with fear and momentarily stepped aside from the battle. The herons and swallows, frightened by the threat of war, fled quickly southwards. The winter giants convened in the forest and called upon the aid of the large snake. With her lethal breath, she made the leaves on the trees color and wither. And wherever she crawled, poisonous mushrooms appeared. In that forest of hellish red and foul yellow, the giants made a pact with the snake, and the trees dropped many leaves in their sadness at this terrible collaboration. The next day, the snake wrapped itself around the highest oak to spew her poison into the heavens, and the giants threw hands full of hail towards the sky. From all sides, Thunar called his clouds to shield the skies as he rode across the clouded heavens in his thundering chariot, drawn by two black goats. His red beard blew in the wind, and the hooves of the goats drew sparks from the ground. The entire heaven was burning, and the hammering thunder made the earth shake. The snake raised her mighty head and spewed her foul breath into the blue sky, turning it black. And then Thunar raised his never-failing hammer of thunder and to hit the snake with such force that the monster crashed down to the earth, and the hammer made a 7-mile deep hole into the ground. The high oak sank into the depths carrying its dark burden. The lightning set the snake's poison aflame, and the smoke rose up in foul brown clouds, wrapping itself around the head of the thunder god. He stumbled in his chariot and swooned. With a terrible blow, he fell down from the heavens and hit the ground near the place where he had crushed the snake. It was as if the heavens were ripped apart and the earth was shattered. His empty chariot, still drawn by the runaway gourds, thundered across the dark sky, only to crash into the Donderberg. Then all became silent, and the earth sank into the sea. From across the fields of flood came the night, and the waves raised their heads to a foam up high. Then the clouds parted on the horizon. The god of the sea blew his horn and sailed across the water in his dark ship. He took the dead Thunor with him, and then icebergs of white winter giants came from the north and chased away the ship of the gods. The times were long and sad while the winter giant ruled the land. After the earth had dried up, 2 lakes remained. They were as deep as the world, and one was called Uddeler, or Uddeler, and the other was the Golden Mare, also called Witte Lake or Bleke Lake. The place where the goats fell was named Dieren. It is presumed that people worship the god of thunder and at the Golden Mare. And when Thunor's hammer came floating up and was found near the other lake, a sacred space was erected, and there were people made their offerings and cremated their dead. The forest quickly grew up around the 2 lakes again and almost reached across the Uterloch where the beast was buried, coming near to erasing the last proof of its evil existence. But one day, when people had settled near the lake, the entire hell and netherworld rose up to prevent its disappearance. A hellish flame came out of the water, and all the devils of fire rose to the surface. Cheering, they raced through the forest, burning the peaks and the trees. The flames leaped up high into the air, and through the smoke, the ghost of the giant snake fled forth quickly. The proud large forest was destroyed, and the area turned into bare wasteland, where the 2 lakes can still be found. Later, when people had become Christians and the old gods were chased away, the people said that a golden calf had sunk into the Blake Lake. But that was just a matter of speaking, for it was a heathen god who'd sunk it there. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I mean, oh man, there's so much. There's so much like jam-packed action. I mean, it goes to show that, you know, thank you, Val. It goes to show that the whole snake and Thunor and all that. It's not solely restricted to Scandinavia. It's elsewhere too. It's really, and it's amazing that we still have these stories. And by the way, I created because I mean, this is just one of many because this is from a thing called the sagas of Veluva, and yeah, this is just one of them, and like there are others too. Perhaps I'll be reading in my next event. Yeah, how can I say this? It's oh yeah, now I remember. I created the wiki article, the English language article for the sagas of Veluva, and I'll tell you the story how that happened. Excuse me. And I learned a bit about Wikipedia too. When you publish an article on Wikipedia, you have to provide sources, and which is obvious. I mean, they had to be. They said it had to be third party, like it had to be like in a news thing and whatnot. But I didn't have, I mean, these are like, from written from way back when, um, and so the first time I published it, with the source itself, like the Dutch language source itself, linking to it. The first time, someone looked at it and didn't get approved because they didn't see the value in it. It was only till much later than, I guess, this Dutch fellow, he approved my article, and he realized, wow, like he gave me a long message saying, wow, this is really important, this is really valuable. And yeah, it's funny how Wikipedia works like that. I mean, you can't just go in and just publish. It has to get approved by someone or whatnot. Well, but some things you can get away with, but I guess with an article it's different. So if you want to make a difference on the internet, get yourself a Wikipedia account. They're free. Another thing too about Wikipedia, I've learned that when you've done something, you have to say that you've done it on your profile on Wikipedia. Otherwise, for someone to know that you made a page, they would have to go into the deep history of the page itself. That's something I've learned too. And I'm also, a little tangent, I'm also on Wiktionary.org. Like I put in some entries for Transylvanian Saxon. And okay, I'll explain that a bit. Transylvanian Saxon is a high German dialect in I think in, well, Transylvania. But the reason it has the word Saxon in there because that was used as a legal term. All right, that's something to bear in mind. Because when I first heard about them, oh, we have 3 viewers. All right, cool, awesome. And it's okay. All right, so it's all good. Yeah. So when I first heard about these people, I thought, oh, cool. I thought these were more actual Saxons, but no, it's only a label. That's the thing now with the word Saxon. It's very it means different things to different people. Like to Celtic peoples, the word Saxon means English. To a High German, Saxon means either someone from a Saxony-Anhalt, maybe, or just Plattdeutsch. Or to people in, I guess, in Transylvania, they're referring to those Germans, living among them. So yeah, so it's pretty ambiguous depending who you speak to about it. So okay, now that I've read these stories and whatnot, I'm gonna turn it to my audience that are here with me. Any statements or any questions you would like to share? Hmm. I guess there's a little delay where, like, I would say something and, like, by the time it gets to my viewers, it's like, I don't know, 10 seconds later or something like that. I don't know. Okay, well, uh, I'm just gonna wait for. Oh yeah, don't worry. Yeah, I'll be sending the links to the stories. I mean, where you can check it all out. I mean, well, as far as the chat room is concerned, I can just paste it to you guys. Ooh. Oh, okay, can't do that. Okay, I guess I'm gonna paste it one at a time. Uh, how could I do this? Okay, so here's the Devil's Meal. But for those of you who are watching this like as we're recorded, don't worry, I'll put in the link in the description below. Yeah, so there's the first one. Where's the second one? Oh yeah, speaking of music, or singing of music, I did make a song in Old Saxon. It's a lullaby, and I'm not sure if I want to perform it. I mean, my voice is kind of almost dead at this point. Anyway, here we go. Okay, so all the links to the stories that I've read are now in the chat room, and again, for those who are watching this recorded, it'll be in the description below. So like you can guys check it out. Yeah, and like I read it from the if you will the book itself, as far as digital version of it, because it's a PDF on archive.org essentially. So, and I mean, you can find so much stuff on archive.org. I mean, it is a gem. It is a real gem, for finding stuff like this. And like, what would happen? I'll be like staying up like really late at night, like doing research and whatnot, and like, it's like looking for gold. And sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. And the problem with that, it can be quite addictive. But hey, everything in moderation, right? So yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, there's a lot out there that more than people realize. That there's much more we can learn about our pagan past. Because a lot of paganism, it survives through folklore, and that's why it's so important to keep in touch with your folklore of your ancestors and whatnot. Yeah, because it has origins that go way far back. It's really important. Because once it's gone, and we'll be like, navel staring and like, how did they do this? How did they do that? That's why it's keep storytelling and whatnot, and keep that tradition alive. Keep the fire kindling, kindle the fire. And I like storytelling. It's it's a passion of mine, and thank you, Val, for that comment. You said I love listening to you tell stories. Thank you. I think for next time, yeah, just a little thing I want to say. Yeah, these Germanic culture live streams, they're like once a month. All right, this is for this month, and then next month I'll do another one, and hopefully it'll be more jam packed, with more stuff to for me to perform or read or just discuss. So yeah, but if you're a patron, for those of you who are not patrons, if you pledge $10 or more to the Patreon campaign, you'd be able to be on here, see it live, and you'd be able to talk with me and which would be great. Now, there's another thing I want to reveal. Oh no, that's not a good word. I just want to tell too, because apart from the live stream events and my videos, I also do tutoring. Yeah, I tutor Old English. So if you're and I'll give you the details about that. I charge 150. Well, you can get the package, which is $150 Canadian for a month, where it's like once a week. Once a week. You have a class, and do that for four weeks. That'll be the package. Or if you want to do a one-off, it'll be just $50 an hour. And this would all happen on Skype, and payment will be all through PayPal. But those are for people who want like one-on-one teaching of Old English, and then want to know the language intimately, and want to improve, let's say, the pronunciation or the reading or the writing or what have you. We can discuss that. And if you're interested in that, please send me an email. My email will be down below as well. So, and 1 million should watch it. Well, that's very kind of you, Sarah. That's very kind of you. Hopefully we'll see. We'll see what happens. That would be interesting. I mean, I'll be 10 times more nervous if that happens. But hey, I mean, as the more I do these live stream events, mag okay, mag wissen wann ik recht zien. I understand half of what you're saying. Oh, I feel bad for not understanding. Fully. Well, um, okay. You see, this is what I like. I like talking with my audience because thing is, with what I do, um, I'm very alone in some aspects in what I do because it's not like every day you go up to someone and oh, okay, oh, I see, okay, I understand now. Um, um, oh, now I lost my train of thought. I'm gonna watch this live stream and be like, oh, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, it's this live stream has been fun. I will be doing more of these and possibly read more fairy tales. And yeah, if any of you guys, oh, now I remember what I wanted to say. Yeah, if any of you guys have like story tales, like old fairy tales that you know about that I haven't found or anything, or that you want me to read, yeah, sure. Feel free to contact me. Oh, yeah, now the thing I wanted to say before that I like interacting. Yeah, because thing is when I do, it's not like every day you go up to someone and like uh it's not every day you go up to someone and say, oh, what do you like to do? And like, oh, I like to make YouTube videos about medieval languages, more or less, and like the response I get from people when I tell them what I do, they it's kind of extreme. It's like, okay, cool, but the other response is like, wow, like that is cool, that is like smashing cool. Yeah, I like talking to my viewers because it's because I like to share my passion with people. I like to make our world a bit of a better place because life is only good as we make it. We can use our creativity and like, because thing is, what is something new that you take something from one context and put it to another? No one ever thinks about, I don't know, singing in Old Saxon or speaking Old English or reciting a story in Old High German or I don't know, you name it. I mean, there's a whole world untapped creativity right there. But the problem is, these languages are not easy to learn, and the thing is that if you I'm gonna say this, uh, if you know Old English well or Old Sax, if you know any of the old Germanic, at least one of them really well, you can pick up the other ones well as easy as well. Because thing is, the further you go back, the more similar languages are, and which is great because you know it's like they are these languages are kind of like the Swiss Army knives of themselves. Even with modern languages, with Old English, God, there's so many examples. I believe I spoke about some of them in my in the live stream I did with History with Hilbert. Yeah. Oh yeah, if you haven't subscribed to him, I suggest you do because he's a cool dude, or should I say, cool bloke? Because he really knows his stuff. Like he and so yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I really feel that with what I do, I want to make a difference. Like I really want to inspire people uh, with what I do because you have a lot of people out there that are on the internet. They're kind of lost and like they don't. And I like to be a positive influence where people can like, oh, I can get into this. This seems cool. This is mentally stimulating, and this could be something I would want to get into. And the other reasoning behind my channel is that I want to connect people to their history, linguistic history, and also inspire people to look inwards. You know, like for example, oh, this guy's doing Old English. What can I do with my culture? I can do old. I don't know. Pick a language. I don't know. Old Polish, which is actually for those who don't know, that's Old Polish is actually really Old West Slavic. That's where that language comes from. Um, and Russian comes from Old East Slavic. Russian and Ukrainian come from Old East Slavic. Yeah, I've learned a bit about Slavic languages like several months ago, but I don't think I'll be diving into that because Germanic and Slavic they're really. I mean, yeah, they're both Indo-European, but like they're too different from each other. From and like I would have to learn a new alphabet, and you know, it's pretty hard. And the sounds are much different. Everything comes from somewhere, and yeah, so I want to inspire and make our world a better place, and you know, who knows what will happen. Um, God, I can go on and on and on. You know, I don't want to. You know, and that's what I like about the internet. I mean, like the people that come watch me, like they're already interested, right? And but then again, you have people that this happens here and there, where I get people that subscribe to me, then they unsubscribe to me because they realize this is not what I thought Old English was. Yeah, because we still live in an age where when people think of Old English, they still think of Shakespeare. Um, I mean, or that they go into Old English thinking this will help me understand English better. Yeah, it will. Don't get me wrong, it will. But at the same time, I mean, if you're if you come from a language background that's not Indo-European, I mean, my channel is open to everyone, but like I just have this concern that you know if people learning old like they're still learning English and like they might run themselves in some confusion because thing is modern English doesn't have many of the features that old English has. For example, in modern English there are no genders and there's no inflected case system. It's like a completely different language you could argue because thing is the term Old English is actually a linguistic term coined by Henry Sweet, and the actual name of the language in modern English is Anglo-Saxon. But to the Anglo-Saxons themselves, they thought their language was just English. And it's funny, like I'm part of this group called Uton Englisches Bruken, and it's funny because like the way, like when we talk about Old English, we call it as English, but when we talk about modern English, we call it a new English. So like modern English and Old English is New English. Well, that's kind of I guess taking a page from German. You know, it's like saying Althochdeutsch to Neu Hochdeutsch. So new High German, yeah, or something like that. Maybe I don't know. Yeah. What else to talk about? I've been blabbering a lot. So any questions, anything of that sort? I mean, we have how many people are watching me right now? Let's find out. 3 people, 3 glorious people. Yeah. Yeah. I have to say, you know, I'm gonna say this in advance. For you 3 that came, thank you so much. It really means a lot that you've. When you see a hawk, you may say Hawek. Hawek Ochorendalf Daif Hatsi Hitzchen war un modernist life. Okay. When you see a hawk. How? Oh, I know exactly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember reading something like this. That it, like it determines if it's a bad day or something. Yeah. I remember reading this. like, yeah, wow, that's so cool that you know about it. Yeah, it was something to do with a bird. Oh wow, that is cool. That is cool that you know about that. Yeah, wow, that you just impressed me there. Like I was first reading this, what is this? Oh, and it all clicked in. Yeah, wow. Yeah. Oh God, I remember reading about that. Like it's this really old Saxon pagan, I guess, custom, if you will, where like something if you see a like a particular bird, I guess a hawk, like it determines it's gonna be a bad day or good day or something like that. Yeah, yeah. And they're like little things like that. Another thing I want to point out too, regarding paganism and how the Germanic peoples were Christianized. Um, uh, well, with the Saxons in particular, you have this book called the what's it called? It's not called the Vulgate. That's the Latin Bible. Uh, Crap. It's not Paderborn because that was written. Okay, okay. Well, what is Paderborn? Paderborn is a Latin text which kind of glorifies the idea that if you want people to convert to Christianity, use the sword, which is quite violent in my opinion. But anyway, oh, what's that book called? It's on the tip of my tongue. It's I I have to look it up now. Oh man, it's really bothering me now. Old Saxon literature. No, what the problem is? I look up Old Saxon and I get all of these things about Old English on on like Google. That has to change, all right? And we can change that, okay? That's not what I want. Where's Old Saxon? Where's Old Saxon? Okay. Where's the literature? Okay. Oh crap. That's not what. The Helion. That's what it is. The Helion. And basically, what that is, um, it's changing the narrative of the story of Jesus. Uh, if he was born in Germany and not, it's kind of using that same technique of, well, let's use their language and like against them, to so they would become like us, sort of. I mean, that's a really simplistic way to put it, but that's more or less what happened. I could go into more gruesome things about what happened in this period regarding the Saxons and how a lot of them died, unfortunately. But I don't want to be pessimistic. But another thing, an important thing I wanted to talk about, as far as how the peoples were, Germanic peoples were converted, that the texts would have, like, let's say a chant or a song or something would, they would have the names of like their gods and whatnot. Over time they would change the text by generation. Like they would, instead of like, I don't know, the only thing I can think of is like, I think it's on Deor. What was that text called? Crap. Where they would have well, anyway, in some of the Anglo-Saxon texts they have things like Almighty Freya. And Freya means Lord, and I think, and I've read about this, that over time they would change the names of the gods into just the word God, just meaning, and obviously when you just erase it and put that blank word, this God, it means the Christian God. So like it over time it erase it, the time over generations, and slowly eroding the pagan culture, which is, it's sneaky but it's smart in a way. And also further, what they did was they would um, destroy wooden statues. In a famous case of what's his name, Willibrod from Northumbria. He came to this island called Val Val uh, Valcheren, and what he did was he went up to this statue of Woden, and like he just a wooden statue, and he just literally destroyed it, and like broke it up and whatnot. Um, or also, what would happen at this time is that a lot of temples would be converted into churches, or that these churches will be built on top of these pagan sites, in order to really stamp out. I mean, stamp out the pagan culture. And apparently Charlemagne in his Saxon genocide, if you will, that's a big term to use, genocide. He apparently, I don't know if I'm correct on this. For those of you watching the recorded version of this, you might correct me on this, that he was influenced by the Old Testament, I believe, which and the reason, I mean, the non-religious aspect of this is that the Saxons fought against Charlemagne because it, what if they were conquered? What that meant was that they wouldn't have their independence. Like they would be under the Frankish rule, and and we have a figure named Wudukind who fought against Charlemagne, but apparently he ran away to Denmark, from what I remember. But at least he attempted to, to rise against Charlemagne and his forces. Yeah, because I mean, the whole his empire was pretty big. I mean, stretched all the way to Germany, France, I think northern Italy, parts of Italy. Yeah, it was pretty big. So yeah. Oh yeah, now I remembered. I talked about earlier about the word Saxon. Well, as far as like the word Sax, yeah, Seax is the old English version, but the Saxon version of that, old Saxon version, is Sahs. Yeah, I don't think they had X's. Maybe, I'm not too sure, but it's so be Saxon, Sasa or something like that. Yeah, it's a hard sound to make. It's really good. Yeah. But the thing is with Old Saxon, I the difficulty of learning it is that all the grammar books that I've encountered learning it are all in German, and there is one in English, but like it's like I don't know, it's like I think it's like $90 or something like that, and it's yeah, it's either yeah, because a lot of the material I use are like from databases and whatnot, and some of them are really really technical, and especially when they're in German. I mean, I know enough German to get by in these grammar books. I mean, and but yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have them translated, but that would take some time. Yeah, it was it was too hard to be Sassen. Oh, Sassen. Okay, cool. So in what is that in is that only in deine ist das deine Mundart oder Plattdeutsch altogether? Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I can speak a little German, by the way, and sometimes I can kind of get by in Plattdeutsch. I just half think in Old English, and yeah, that's what happens when I speak in German. That if I don't know what it is, a word in German, it just comes naturally to me in Old English. My brain is weird like that. So yeah, my question was that word Sassen is that like in your dialect, or is that or is that like Plattdeutsch in general? Oh, in Platt. Okay. And for those of you who don't know, Platt means flat. So flat German. And oh, danke die. Yeah, or no, dank die. Yeah, it's yeah, you know what I thought about too? Like this is just an idea, but given a lot of the texts, the books I read about old Germanic languages are in German, I thought about teaching Old English and other Germanic languages in German. Not only that, because a lot of actually, like among the top 10 countries that watch my material, Germany is pretty high up there. By the way, yeah, and I think it's because like like Germans would like get into Old English and be like, oh my God, es ist sehr ähnlich Deutsch. It's like, es ist wie Deutsch, but aber nicht Deutsch. It's like German, but it's not German. Because you got the thu and you got the ye and you got the it's like do and see and it's similar. It's like cool. And it goes to show that we're much more similar than we think. I mean, so that's an idea like I had in my mind for a while, but like I have to improve my German, and but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. Um, what was I going to say? What? Things about these live streams, like there's so much going through my head, and like because of that, I might say something incorrect or not as a way I'd like to say it, and I don't know. It's just a lot. Like it's I don't know. It's a cool experience to be on a live stream. Anyway, but yeah, the word Saxon. I mean, it has this has sit in many different ways. Um, hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But definitely in the future, for my third channel, I would like to get into learning Westphalian dialect of Plattdeutsch. But the thing is, though, getting the material to learn it might be difficult. Like, the best thing to do is get a grammar book. Where to get it, and that's another question. And what sources can I use and whatnot. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then you have Catalan Frisian. I want to help revive. I mean, because thing is though, when you go out your way to do something like that, um, people notice it, and some may find it even inspiring. Because like when I did my videos on like comparing Vimesaurus and Old English, yes, Sarah, I am gonna need your help. I really, because it's your dialect, right? And yes, any help would be great. I mean, and this is for those of you watching the recorded version of this. If you want me to help revive your dialect, let me know and provide me with the materials and how to pronounce things and da 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 da. I'm your man, because I'm all about language preservation and how important it is, and together we can make this world a better place. Because I'm just going to say a quote from the Norse: "Cattle die, men die, you and I will die too, but the deeds of a dead man never die." And following that, I will quote a movie, one of my favorite movies, Gladiator, when Maximus says this: "What we do in life echoes in eternity." For example, um, when um, you do something, let's say you helped someone, you can't change the past because you helped someone, and like you reflect on it. Oh wow, I've done something good. Yeah. But going back, yeah, Sarah. I mean, if you can help me find stuff, I'll be really, really appreciative of that, because, um, like, I mean, there are probably sites out there that probably go more into depth about Old Saxon than I can find. Because, yeah, I mean, a lot of my research, I like I do some of my research not in English, and that is a great help, and which I find interesting stuff. But then again, I mean, there could be stuff that other people know about that I don't know about. And so, Sarah, so if you know stuff of sources to like, and what I mean by this, like for example, like how to pronounce vowels, uh, or like vocabularies, and who knows, you like I'll be making videos about this, and you'd be commenting, okay, Kevin, this is not right. I think you should work on this, or this is that, and this should be that, and whatnot. But yeah, I remember looking up or doing research on Westphalian, and like the thing is with Plattdeutsch. Oh no! Oh no! What happened? It just turned off. Anyway, I think we're back on now. Is that correct me if I'm wrong? There's no standard version of it. I mean, because now, Sarah, my question to you is: in one town in Westphalia, like they speak their version of Westphalian? Is it different from another part of Westphalia, or is it like they all speak, or everyone in Westphalia speaks Westphalian, or like, can you elaborate on that for us? Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, yeah, and it's different. Okay, yeah, because when I was looking up Westphalian like poetry and whatnot, like one author it was like that, and another author it was like words were different. Okay, for example, Sarah says, for example, the word cow could be, excuse me, ku, ko, ku, cow. Excuse me. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool, cool, cow. Um, okay, so it's really specific. You see, that's the beauty of linguistics, man. Nothing is ever simple, and it's so deep, And no wonder Tolkien was into languages, man. It's so intense, It's so deep, It's so. Oh man, I would like to meet Tolkien one day. Well, I know he's long gone dead now, but I don't know. I would love to shake his hand and have tea with him one day. We'll see. Maybe in the next life. We'll see. Um, yeah, that's the thing. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so okay, Sarah, how about this? When you help me find stuff for Westphalian, I'll be making videos specifically about the town where you're from, because you speak the Westphalian that you know, right? And so maybe I can do a whole series on like the different kinds of Westphalian, and hmm, the ideas are coming. We'll see. Um, how about we? How about you talk to me about this, and on Patreon. All right, so we can discuss and how this is. All right. So I mean, I know for those of you watching and listening, this is really interesting. Wow, this is I never knew about this before. Uh, so yeah. Um, okay. How long has this live stream has been? Oh my god, it's like, hang on, it's like what, an hour, almost 2 hours. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I guess a 2 hour live stream is not so bad after all. I mean, it's all cool in a way that you guys can get to know me, in a way that this is how I act with my friends. I'm just, there's no mask or anything. It's just me. Right. Okay. I think 2 hours is long enough. About 2 hours is long enough. So I would like to say a big thank you. All you patrons who've pledged the $10 and whatnot, who've come here to see this whole thing live. It really means a lot to me. And I'd like to say a big thank you to all my viewers and subscribers and all you guys for supporting me and what I do. It really means a lot. It really means a lot. Like, you've made my dream come true in some aspect. That that there's a whole world out there that's into old languages and dialects and stuff like that, and we're making this a reality. You know, working together, interacting, and all this stuff. Okay, I think I'll be signing off now. So this is the May 17th of May, 2017, Germanic Culture Livestream, all about the Saxons. Thank you for all of you for joining in. It's thank you. I thank you all. And I don't know what welcome is in Old English. You know, you could say willkommen, but then you can have or you could say gärna. This has some people that say danke, and then someone else would say gärna. Anyway, so gärna, Sarah. So anyway, thanks again for all of you joining. I'm signing out. All right, everyone. Bye bye now. Was auf your hall. Be thou well. Be you well. Or be you whole. All right. Anyway, I'm off. All right. Bye, guys. See ya.